Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome to Muse and Measure, where songwriting meets spiritual practice. Today's question comes from the Minneapolis. I love that city. So many Minnesota nice people there, and great food, great music. Of course, Prince is from there, and one of my favorite bands, The Bad Plus, hails from Minneapolis. Clint from Minneapolis writes, how would I approach coming up with more interesting progressions? I understand the circle of fifths and basic music theory, but I tend to jam on the same things over and over. Yeah, can relate to that. Is there a good book that breaks that down? Should I just analyze my favorite tunes? I'd like to dive a little deeper in that direction. Well, that's wonderful, Clint, because expanding your harmonic palette definitely opens so many doors for songwriting. And I know how tempting it is in all aspects of life just to fall into habit and just jam on the same things, So, as far as books, the classic text on this is called The Steps to Parnassus, and it's written by a guy named Fuchs, which is mispronounced by many students, much to the chagrin of professors, but inspiring a lot of laughter. It's mispronounced as Fuchs. So it's actually pronounced Fuchs, The Steps to Parnassus. And basically this book was used by Mozart and Beethoven. It was the classic text, still is used today. And it teaches you how to build harmonic progressions from a basic melody, which is basically a cantus firmus or Gregorian chant. And it not only teaches you how to build these harmonics and follow these certain rules so that everything will sound really nice, but it also shows you the history and development of Western harmonies. Now, if the Steps to Parnassus is a little too tedious and a little longer of a hike than you wanted, and you just want to come up with cool chord progressions and mix things up a little bit, I can certainly relate. But that's something you can put in the back burner and as a possibility for the future if you want to dive into that aspect of music theory. So I'll give you two methods that I think are worthwhile to getting started. The first thing is that every scale has naturally occurring chords using the notes of the scale. So for example, C major, using the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If you combine those notes, every other note, and create these triads, you have these naturally occurring chords within the scale. So in order, C is the one chord, D minor is the second chord, E minor is the third chord, F major is 4, G major is 5, A minor is 6, B diminished is 7th. Okay? So you can use these naturally occurring chords to mix things up. So if you are used to just jamming on, the 1 to the 4, well, after doing that for however long you want to do it, you can mix it up by maybe going to the 2 to the 2 to the 5. And you can just play around and jump around, from the different chords and see what sounds appealing to you. So you can always use those 7 chords as kind of building blocks for your song structure. And then another method, which I think has been the most gratifying for me, is to actually use the melody to guide you. Now, sometimes the melody just wants to stick within the confines of the scale and use the chords of the scale, and that's totally legitimate. You should really honor where the melody wants to go, and the melodies really kind of should be the guiding force of a song anyways. But a lot of times the melody, especially in the bridge section or, depending on where your melody just naturally flows, it will take you into these unknown lands and kind of break out of the normal territory. Okay? So there's a song I wrote a few years ago called Bastard Son, and in this one I definitely used this method where I let the melody dictate to me what was going to happen next. Okay? So I didn't have much of this song written when I started using this method, but basically I was coming up with lyrics that were based on this Lord Byron poem about the sun going out. Morning went its way but brought no day. Okay? So I picked up my guitar, and the first chord I played was D, so that's what I decided to work with. So, morning went its way, but brought no day. That was a melody that I came up with. So in order to pick those chords, I Okay, so I just, at first I played it safe. I just went to the 4 chord, which is very common. Moaning when it's way. But the second time around, I just didn't want to repeat that again. Moaning when it's way but bright. It just sounds, it sounds kind of, I don't know, Renaissance-y, or maybe from a medieval song. I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I looked at my melody notes. Moaning when it's way but broad. That was where I wanted the new chord to come in. So this note is a B flat, okay? So I have to ask myself, well, what chords are possible that use a B flat in their structure, okay? Now, if you don't know music theory and you don't know all the different chords that use a B flat, that's fine. You can use Google or ChatGPT, or even ask Alexa what chords use a B flat. So, well, the second chord I use uses a B flat. The G minor has a B flat in it. So that's one possibility, but I already decided I didn't want to just go back and forth like that between those two chords. So another possibility, B flat, well, obviously the B flat chord. So, moaning when it's way but bright. Didn't love that. Sounds kind of medieval and kind of Gregorian too. So what are some other possibilities? Well, there's E flat uses the B flat. So let's try that out. Moaning when it's way but broad, no. That's possible. Let's see what the other options are. So another chord that uses B flat is the C7th chord. Okay, so moaning when it's way but bright. So I like that, and that's what I went with, okay? So because it's a C7th chord, that is not naturally occurring in the D minor scale that I was in. So it took me out of the scale. So it's taking me into a totally new domain, which fits with the message of the song, which is about the sun going out and everything changing. And is life going to be over? Or is there going to be some kind of great transformation? So it fits with the message of the song. Obviously, if you're singing a song about how much you love your mom and how nice she is and cooks you nice cookies, you might not want to go into these weird worlds. But if you're singing a song about the sun going out, that's totally valid, okay? So the only thing I would advise is once you get into these weird chords that take you out of your scale, is that you temper them by going for your next move to be something that is a little bit straighter. So what I mean straighter just means like what would be the standard thing that would happen after this. So if it's a 7th chord, 7th chords always want to go to the 1 chord, okay? So the 5 chord, where C 7th is the 5 chord, that's in the key of F, okay? Okay, so moaning when it's way but broad no day. Okay. So just you don't want to keep going weird upon weird upon weird. You basically want to go weird, standard, or weird, standard, standard. You want to mix up, just like with repetition or variation, you want to mix up going out and coming back, right? Because if these build tension, and if you build too much tension, then it just becomes unnerving, and then the tension just becomes the standard and is no longer tense. So use tension as a way to lead to a resolution. Okay? So conflict resolution, tension, release, those should also be thought of as well. So use the melody as your guiding point. When you hit a note and you're like, oh, this would be a good place to try a different harmony, a new chord, look at the note and see what your possibilities are and try them all out. And hopefully you find one you like. Okay? Well, I hope that helped, Clint, and good luck with exploring new chord progressions, and best of luck with your songwriting. If you all enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to learn more about songcraft and songwriting, especially from a spiritual point of view, please click the little lotus blossom down there in the corner and subscribe. All right, until next time, best of luck.